From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Alaska Senator Mark Begich was in the Interior for one day only earlier today, making the rounds at a number of spots.
But it was the first stop for the Democratic federal lawmaker that drew much of the attention as well as the controversy. News Center 11's Daryl Lewis was in town with Senator Begich Wednesday and has more.
Thanks. On Wednesday, Alaska U.S. Senator Mark Begich made a number of stops around the Interior, chief among them one stop at the North Star Counseling on Aging's Senior Center, but his most pressing issue and stop centered around the fishing dilemma.
Alaska did a very good job compared to the rest of the country. Do we have challenges still? Absolutely.
It's called the Magnuson-Stevens Fishery Conservation and Management Act, commonly referred to as the Magnuson-Stevens Act. And it's the primary law governing marine fisheries management in the United States. And it was also at the crux of roundtable discussions held Wednesday downtown, and including Begich, who sits on a congressional committee centered around fisheries.
When there's a major piece of legislation like this being rewritten or updated, there are groups that feel like they've been left out. And so today was to really show that we want to include everyone and hear their ideas. Not every idea will get to the table, but to have them at the table today was very important.
The law named after Warren Magnuson, former U.S. Senator from Washington State, and of course, former Alaska Senator Ted Stevens. During today's discussions, Begich, who has been making his way around talking to commercial fishermen and the like, is now concentrating his efforts on those that live the subsistence way. And they let the Democratic senator know how they're feeling in the midst of not only declining numbers, but laws they say severely jeopardize their way of life.
I feel like it's not illegal to try to feed your families, and that's what they're doing. And it's unfortunate. I'm very irritated. I'm very impatient with the way things are going in terms of fisheries management.
I think this is probably one of the bigger issues that we face in the state of Alaska. I think there's a real need for inclusion of tribal folks in these processes that have sort of excluded us for the longest time. And I can't emphasize enough the need for the Native community and the general public to voice their concern on the reauthorization of the Magnuson-Stevens Act.
The News Center will have more on this story this weekend during the Saturday edition of the Fbx Evening News and News Center Final.
Despite cooler temperatures in the Interior, as of last evening, the Stewart Creek fire is still burning out of control. More than 90% of the fire is located on Eielson Air Force Base, and it has now reached a whopping 50,000 acres. Yesterday, the borough made the announcement that residents along Chena Hot Springs Road were being advised to prepare for evacuation if the fire conditions worsened. Today, the borough, in cooperation with the Tanana Valley Fair, opened an animal emergency shelter for residents to keep their livestock, horses, and pets until the situation improves. The shelter provides food and water along with housing.
Sure, the fairgrounds has graciously allowed us to use the large barn out here. We've got capacity for indoor dogs and cats. Also, we're using the parking lot out by the horse arena for sled dogs. And then they've also allowed us to use horse stalls, and as well as sheep and goats and cattle. So we can pretty much handle anything in that arena of dogs, cats, and livestock.
The shelter is located off of College Road at the Red Gate on the fairgrounds. Now, if you have any questions, you can call the number on your screen, 356-5511.
After almost 2 years of legal wrangling and other delays, trial for a 21-year-old accused murderer is set to get underway Monday morning. Cornelius Everett Jr. remains in jail on a no-bail status and charged with second-degree murder in the death of 55-year-old Johnson Griffin. He's accused of beating Griffin to death in the victim's Northward Building apartment in late June 2011. Fairbanks police found Griffin's body while conducting a welfare check of his apartment June 27th and did not immediately classify the case as a homicide. A medical examiner later concluded Griffin died from blunt force trauma to the chest, which caused severe internal bleeding.
All right, when we come back, a company gets ready to deploy from Fort Wainwright.
And the mayor of Fairbanks is proposing fines instead of court appearances for people who violate local litter laws. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Yesterday, a ceremony was held to see off a company of 90 soldiers from Fort Wainwright. They will spearhead the efforts in the drawdown of soldiers from Iraq and Afghanistan. We have more now in our military report.
They stand ready to perform their duty, and their families take on the burdens that no one else can ever imagine unless they've done it themselves. At the heart of our nation's defense stands the soldier. It is a legacy deeply rooted in the American history.
Family members of the 539th Transportation Company gathered as the soldiers cased the colors in preparation for their 9-month deployment to Kuwait. For many families, this is not their first time saying goodbye.
Well, this is his second deployment, and so we're nervous, but we feel confident. My husband and I are both retired Army, and my father was retired from the military, so my whole life has been around the military. So, I've been there, done that. I remember watching my dad go off to Vietnam as a child, so now I'm watching my son go off.
Some spouses and families have been through so many deployments, it's hard to keep up with the numbers.
This is our second deployment. No, this is our third deployment, yes.
Regardless, this spouse says she is Army strong and will hold down the fort in support of her soldier.
It's just another tour, that's what I can say. Be strong, be ready, be prepared for whatever. He has a strong family sitting back at home, so everything's going to be fine.
The soldiers as well know their job isn't the only hard one. It's their loved ones they leave behind that they rely on.
So she understands what I got to do when I got to do it when I'm coming back. So it's hard, but like I say, it's challenging at the same time. But she's been able to hold down the household since I've been gone.
Finally, there was one last question I had to ask. Are you proud of your son?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so proud of him.
The Military Report is brought to you by Stanley Nissan. Innovation for all.
The mayor of Fairbanks is proposing fines instead of court appearances for people who violate local litter laws. Mayor Jerry Cleworth wants to reduce the penalties because the current system consumes time and is expensive. Currently, those cited receive a summons and face a court date. If convicted, they face up to a $450 fine and 40 hours of community service. The Fairbanks City Council will hear the second and final reading of the ordinance on Monday. Tomorrow is the 4th of July and celebrations will be going on all around the interior. Tonight we talk about the festivities happening inside the park in our weekly segment.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of What's Happening at Pioneer Park. This week we're continuing talking about the 4th of July celebrations that are held annually each year inside the park. Let's go see what's in store this year for you. I am here with Alan Shaw, Army Garrison Public Affairs Officer. So Alan, tell us what we can expect on the 4th of July here at Pioneer Park.
Well, the United States Army Alaska has always been part of this 4th of July celebration, and anytime the soldiers, family members, and the DoD civilians can get together with the community and celebrate something like Independence Day, we treasure those opportunities.
So tell me a little bit about what we can expect. I know there's normally a 50 flag salute. Tell me what's going on this year.
The soldiers from the United States Army Alaska Aviation Task Force will have soldiers out here that'll be flag bearers. We'll also have the rifle team that'll help render the 50-state salute. We'll have the awesome Arctic Warrior Band, and Colonel Freitag, our Deputy Commanding Officer of the United States Army Alaska, will be here as one of the guest speakers.
I'm here with Dee Hansen from the Alaska Airmen's Association and Lieutenant Zani from Eielson Air Force Base. So, Dee, can you tell me a little bit about what's going on with the flyover this year?
Yes, the flyover, actually the Alaska Air Show Association is partnering with the Airmen's Association, the community of Fairbanks, to sponsor a classic and World War II flyby. We're starting over the community of Esther. We'll come over Pioneer Park here and over the city of North Pole.
So tell me what people can expect after, because the fun's not done there, right?
That's right. If you come out to the East Ramp at Fairbanks International Airport to the University of Fairbanks Aviation program there, we'll have activities for children. We'll have these aircraft on static display, as well as a traveling museum exhibit that tells the story of the first flight, as well as other significant firsts out of Fairbanks.
That's so much fun. Now, what about you for the Air Force? What can we expect since you're not doing the flyover this year?
We'll be participating in the 50 flag salute, along with having a joint honor guard with Fort Wainwright.
There's so much happening inside the park for the 4th of July celebrations, but we can't leave without giving you your weekly trivia question. Drum roll, please. Who are the annual MCs that hosts each year? Go to webcenter11.com, pick the male and female for your chance to win some really great prizes from the park, because that's what's happening this week at Pioneer Park.
Wow, that was good.
It must have been a hot day out there.
It was. It was 90 degrees. That
Oh,
it was
man.
last week during our heat wave. So, but there's a lot going on.
Right.
Are you excited, Joe, to see all the 4th of July festivities?
Yeah, I'm just disappointed there's no fireworks because the sun is
Firework
out
ban. No
all
fireworks.
the time, so that's something different for me. But some good news today for one of our local hockey programs, a former player. He's coming back to the interior. Also, we look at the Nanox men's basketball schedule, but there was some racing last night, and it wasn't on the track.
You're always leaving us with these real good cliffhangers.
Yeah, so that and more coming up. Find out what it is. Hello, Interior sports fans. Joe Cook here in the sports seat for you this evening for your Wednesday Sportscast. Some good news for the UAF hockey team today. Former Ice Dogs player Jarrett Larson will be transferring from the University of Minnesota to play for UAF. Larson made the Larson Leap a signature move after a goal in the Big Dipper, and Nanox fans can see that at the Carlson Center this winter. The 6'3" forward is transferring from the University of Minnesota, where he only appeared in 12 games in 2 seasons, playing behind a number of NHL draft picks. Larson will pursue a master's degree at UAF. He graduated from Minnesota this spring. While with the Ice Dogs, Larson compiled 80 points in 108 games. And yesterday, the UAF men's basketball team released their 2013-2014 schedule. Schedule highlights include defending their Alaska Invitational title against Fresno Pacific, Mary, and Emporia State in November. The Nooks' first GNAC game is against the Seawolves in Anchorage on December 7th. The first game of 2014 is a home contest against Simon Fraser on January 2nd. On the 4th is the epic rematch of UAF and Western Washington. The Nanox were the only team to defeat the Vikings in the regular season last year. January does feature a 4-game road trip, the longest of the year, which includes at Seattle Pacific, the defending GNAC champs, and at St. Martin's. 5 of their last 7 games will be at the Patty Center, including the season finale against UAA. The Nanox bounced back, placing 4th in the GNAC, winning 16 games, 10 in conference, compared to just 5 wins in 2012 with 2 conference Ws. They also advanced to the GNAC championship semifinals. Last season, McDurham was the GNAC co-coach of the year, and 3 starters were all GNAC selections. For the full schedule, just go to the sports page on webcenter11.com. After being on top of the ABL standings, the Gold Panthers fell a game behind the Anchorage Bucks after taking a tough extra innings loss to another Anchorage team. It took all night, 15 innings actually, and the Glacier Pilots defeat the Gold Panthers 4-3 in the first game of a 4-game road trip for the Panthers. Alaska had a 3-2 lead at the top of the 11th inning, but in the bottom of the 15th, with the bases loaded, Kevin Garcia brought in the winning runs with a single in Mulcahy Stadium. The loss snaps a 3-game winning streak for Alaska. Tomorrow, the second-place Gold Panthers face the third-place Matsu Miners. Last evening, along the Chena River, a few canoe lovers set out on the local waterways for the second race of the Beaver Sports Tuesday Night Canoe Race Series. Despite the rain, the race started at 7 p.m. by Grail Landing and ended at Chena Pump Small Tracks. The race had canoe and kayak classes. For the men's division, Reese Hahnemann and Carl Hahnemann finished in 1 hour 7 seconds for first. The Seahawks, Ken Leary and Jane LeBlanc, won the mixed class, coming in 1 minute and 7 seconds later. The daddy and daughter team of Greg and Stephanie Wisenhant were first for the kayak class in 1 hour 7 minutes and 15 seconds. Reese Hahnemann is training for the Olympics. The cross-country skier has 9 sponsors, including Power Bar, Oakley, and the Alaska Club. Hahnemann was third in the 2010 National Championships Classic Sprint. The Alaska Pacific and Nordic Ski Club member says canoe racing is a great cross-training workout, but his real training is more intense.
I'm training for cross-country skiing. So last week I was down in Girdwood, training on a glacier up there. So we're skiing 4 to 5 hours a day for a week. And usually I do weeks and weeks and weeks of that in a row.
Since I'm in the front, I set the pace, and he just follows along. When we're in the canoe, I call out when we switch sides. The kayak's a lot slower, but we are closer to the river, so it's less air resistance, but the canoe is definitely faster.
And tomorrow there will be a couple of holiday sporting events at 1 p.m. at Pioneer Park. The Interior Freight Dog Association will have their annual weight pull. There's a $1,000 purse, and trophies for each weight class. There are loan harnesses available, and this event is open for any breed ages 1 through 10. Registration is at 11:15, and handlers meeting is at 12:30. The North Pole Speedway will have races on Military Appreciation Night. The Bandos and Legends cars will be revving their engines on the farthest north paved racetrack. Can Justin Sammons maintain his stronghold in the Bandos class? And who will win the Legends main event race, Sean O'Hara or Dave Bailing? They've been going back and forth since the season started. Races start at 7 p.m. Also, the 28th Independence Day run is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. in Pioneer Park. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. Stay cool, Alaska. Mike Schultz has your full weather forecast coming up next, and we'll catch you next time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back into the Fairbanks Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again for a look at the weather, and it's getting better and better. We had basically beautiful blue skies today, some passing showers here and there, but they're getting less and less, and we're looking at the smoke to be blowing away. Hopefully the winds will not be helping the fires to get any bigger, but it looks really good for July 4th for tomorrow for all the outdoor activities. Our photograph tonight, this one's sent in by Debbie Dickman, Biker Butterfly. Again, if you have a photograph to share, by all means, send it to me at Mike Schultz at KTVF11.com. Here's what's going on at the airport right now. 66 degrees, our high day 67, the low last night 46, record high 89, 1990, 40 in 1906. Sunrise and sunset, 21 hours and 16 minutes of daylight. That's a loss of 4 minutes from yesterday. Our satellite picture tonight, again, lots of moisture across the southwest portion of the state, getting less and less across the interior. Even though there are some clouds moving in from Canada, they're just diminishing as the satellite picture goes on. Latest radar, I was zooming in around the Fairbanks area, still showing a few scattered showers here and there, but at the end of the satellite picture there you can see, or the radar, you can see just them diminishing. So we're looking at those to be moving out of the picture, and like I said, good weather for all the outdoor activities tomorrow. Across the rest of the state right now, showers once again around Juneau, also showers at Bethel and over the southwest portion of the state and around Nome. 42 degrees at Barrow, cool there, and 70 degrees at Fort Yukon, lots of sunshine. Lower 48 weather, again, the word is hot temperatures. Salt Lake City, just can't get past those, or get underneath those 100-degree marks. 90 degrees at Denver, Las Vegas 112. Showers and thunderstorms once again over the eastern half of the country. It's been that way for all this week, and the overall outlook for the radar is again showing lots of moisture being fed up across the eastern half of the country, and then another storm system working its way across the northern Rockies, helping to usher in more thunderstorm activity, and unfortunately possibly developing more lightning storms that could develop more fires. Now, the overall outlook for next week, the heat will continue once again to expand, but not quite as hot as it was in June. Still, hot temperatures are expected. And the jet stream will take a little bit of a dive down to the south overall during the weekend, which still means a lot of warm temperatures and humid conditions across much of the country and continuing dry out to the west. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. In the northern section, scattered showers for Barrow. Occasional rain in Nome, showers and smoke for Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at partly cloudy skies with areas of smoke in Fairbanks and scattered showers around the Healy area. Over the southeastern sections, it looks like rain changing to showers in the Juneau area. Chance of showers for Ketchikan. And over to the southwest, looking out across there, looking at showers for Cold Bay and Kodiak, rain and patchy fog for Bethel. While over south central regions, lots of rain expected all the way across from Anchorage to Homer to Valdez. Now here's our forecast for the remainder of the night. Again, looking at temperatures right around 50 degrees, mostly cloudy, showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm. That's about it. Tomorrow's forecast, a great 4th of July in store for everyone. 71 degrees, just partly cloudy skies, and the extended forecast, as we've been saying all week, temperatures warming back up to around 80 degrees by Sunday, 81 degrees, and temperatures that will continue to be very, very comfortable, above normal for this time of year, starting by Sunday, it looks like, with overnight lows also right around the 50-degree mark, and no precipitation expected until possibly next Tuesday at the earliest, but it looks really good for all the outdoor activities tomorrow.
Lots of things going on tomorrow.
Yep, definitely.
Looks like it's going from summer to spring.
Not quite.
No, well, kind of. No, kind of, sort of, maybe. I don't know. All right.
You decide.
That'll wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. As always, we're glad you could join us.
NBC Nightly News is next with Brian Williams.
You can join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at website11.com.
They're getting things ready for all the outdoor activities at Pioneer Park tomorrow, including the big celebration that Stephanie was telling you about earlier. We're going to leave you with a look at the riverboat Nenana right now, but tomorrow will be really festive with all the red and white and blue banners on it and everything.
And people can join us at 6 tomorrow. We will be broadcasting tomorrow.
And 11.
Imagine fireworks.
Yeah. Have a good night. We'll see you back here at 11.